There was another pretty good tutorial I found on hair, but this individual was going so fast. R three five four one. So whoa, slow down. Guess he was really trying to get that 1 minute video to be perfect. Okay, but hair tutorial in 60 seconds. This doesn't have any sound, I don't think. Make this bigger. Now, we want to start a new project. You should already have a cube up if you start a new project. If not, go ahead and do your file new and so forth. What I really liked about this is it would really blow up to what the individual was clicking on. And then it's up here. It tells us to change this to Cycles rendering engine. Or I don't think it's. It might say that. Let's see. No, it just says Cycles render. So choose that. Comes down here, and we want to choose the GPU compute. So down over here in device, do the drop down and do GPU compute. Now I notice it says use GPU compute for device for rendering configured in the system tab and the user preferences. So it gives you a better performance. Looks better. Now I notice it says GPU compute setting is optional, not required. You don't need that for this. It just hopefully gives a little better performance. Okay, so they're resizing the screen. Make that a little bit bigger. Just mainly so you can see all these buttons across here, I think is the main thing. Then they want us to split the window. So we want to add an extra viewport. How you do that, again, is this in this upper right-hand corner, you see something that looks like 4 little lines going at an angle. See where my mouse is at. If you click that and hold down, oops, let's try it again. And pull down, then you can create 2 windows there. Now in one of them, we're going to set it up so we can see the render, and the other one is where we'll do our work. So the top one's going to be our render window. And you set that with this little white ball here. That's where you set those. And then once it's choose the top one is rendered. So that's what it's going to look like. No, I think there is sound to this one now that I think about it. Oh, that's right, music. Now they want us to add some light and give a good position. So you do Shift A. Now I want to be down here in this this part down here, and do Shift A. We could have also done it from over here. So if you don't remember Shift A, all the lamps are over here also. They're also underneath your, see, is it object or add? They're also underneath your add lamp here. So there's like three ways you can do that. Okay, and they want us to add the, what do they want us? Let's go back. Which one do they want? Lamp area. So we'll do a Shift A. We'll do lamp, and then we'll do area. Now, as you do this, what you'll find is that you'll see it's change up here. So you can get a really good feel for what you're trying to achieve by looking up here in the rendered window. Now mine's pointing down. Probably if I change them to, if I do the R, we rotate around Y, RY. Let's see what in the world they're wanting here. Okay. They're wanting it pointing from the back. So if I do a G for grab, move it up here, and I'll do an RY again. Put it back facing the other direction. I'll do RY again, move it down a little bit. Probably good enough. Now you can adjust your settings on the light source, and that's what they're coming over here to do. They're clicking this. I don't know what that is. This button third from the right, whatever that looks like. What is that? Does that look like a lamp? I don't know what that is. So if you click that, it'll pop up here. And the fact that we chose the area, you see you can change it to other items. There's a hemisphere. Here's a spotlight. Sun is the best. So you can see what it looks like up in the rendered window. There's a point. But anyway, they want area. And I think the strength they want us to change to 300. So I'll come down here, change the strength to 300. You could even change the color of the light source. If you wanted a certain, reddish or a bluish color, you could do that. Increase light emission from 100 to 300. Create hair. You'd want to do your space, and you want to type quick fur. But what you have to have selected first is, right now I have the light source selected. If I did quick fur on the light source, it wouldn't work because you can't add a fur to a light source. So you have to right click on whatever you want to add that to. Spacebar is kind of like a free-form search. So if you're not quite sure what in the world you're trying to find, do a space, and you start typing. If I start typing fur, there's fur. If I want to type in cloth, that's interesting. No cloth. Rigid body. I wonder why it doesn't have cloth. Anyway, if you just simply type fur, it comes up quick fur. Hair, connect hair, disconnect hair. Anyway, they're wanting quick fur. After that comes up, you can click that, and if you were to zoom in on this top part a little bit, you would see it now has hair. So it's pretty easy to add that in. Down here in the bottom, you also see it a little bit. We're now going to then change some settings on it so we have more hair to work with. So let's use the mouse wheel to zoom so you can see it. We're going to click the second one from the right. This is our Particles tab. Now, particles are more than just hair. There are a lot of different items. Explosions. If you're creating an explosion, you know, with a little light source coming out like that, an animation with that, that's a particle system. So there's a lot of different ones. This first one we're looking at is just the hair part. And it tells us change the hair amount to 4,000 and change the hair length from 0.1 to 0.8. Now this, I think they got a little different version of Blender here. If you look, no, it does say, never mind. I don't know what I was thinking earlier. Okay, so change that to 4,000. Now there's more of them, isn't there? So they're closer together. Hair length, they said it changed to 0.8. You can probably figure out what that's going to do. Slow. This is intense. It was interesting. They were talking about, one of the videos I was watching was talking about the difficulties in modeling hair. And in that Monsters Inc. movie, have you ever seen that? I guess there's one individual with a lot of hair. It's been so long since I've seen the movie. But it took him a whole week to get that one character's hair right. Just because they wanted it perfect, and it just hair is not the easiest to work with. Not the easiest to work with to get it looking good. You can work with it pretty easy, but I'll never get it looking good. So what you see me do wouldn't never match that. Okay. Then you go back here, you go down to your main, and you want to choose Particle Edit. So down here in this bottom part, we want to go from Object Mode to Particle Edit. And notice what it looks like. It looks like a comb, doesn't it? Now, right now, the hair is just kind of standing straight up. If I scroll up, if you don't see these, you see some of the tools you have. You can comb the hair. You can smooth the hair out. You can add more hair. You can change the length of the hair. Puff it. What does puffed mean? Make hair stand up. You can cut the hair. Or you could add weight to it. They're wanting us to smooth this out now. So if you click smooth, then if you move your mouse over here, it becomes a white circle. And you can hold down on that and start moving it around. Just kind of smooth it out. Doesn't have much of an impact. Make sure I'm going to the right tool. Smooth, yeah. Now, why theirs is having a bigger impact, I have no clue. They took the defaults of Blender. How you get it to affect more is you see over here, there's a radius feature. That'll make your white circle bigger or smaller. The where's that? Strength right here, that'll affect more of it. So I'm assuming the larger the number, the bigger the strength is. So if I change that to 1, and I come over here, then it should have more of an impact on. I'm not sure if I saw much of an impact though. Now you can comb it. So you choose a comb, and you can comb the hair down. Now at this point, if you go from particle edit to object mode, slow. Here's what it looks like rendered, and here's what it is down here. Kind of looks like it off of the Addams Family, doesn't it? You know, the individual with the hair all. But we can go back into particle mode, particle edit mode, and you can choose cut, and you could cut the hair off the front here. Now if I go back to object mode, you see less in the front. I still see some though. Let me go back and see if I can get rid of it all. I have my strength to 1. Okay, now I'm starting to see more of the cube. That's surprising. It doesn't. When I see it in a particle, it looks like there's nothing on it, does it? But other things you can do over here is you can add. So if you click and hold down and you start moving it over here on the side, you'll see it's starting to get more hair over on the side. Now again, your goal on this is that you can achieve the effect with a minimal amount of additions. So your goal is not to add a bunch. You can do the length. If you choose the length, you can come over here and you can increase the length of it. Now, if I hold down my mouse button and then move it around, you'll see it can increase the length. And then you can comb it down, so forth. Now, if I go to length again, you'll notice there's an option down here that says grow and shrink. So instead of growing the particles out, you can shrink them in. So you can bring them in. I don't think there's anything else too interesting there. But cut, what options does cut have? It. you choose weight, that kind of shows you the different weight that's been applied. Okay. Back to object mode. Any questions on that part? Well, let's do a file new. Delete the cube. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add in the monkey. Rotate a little bit. Zoom in. Now I'm not going to set the I'm not going to set that GPU and so forth. I'm not even going to have render window. See if we get a little better speed. So I'm going to add a hair to this. Got it selected. If you do a space bar, it comes up with the one you just had, quick fur. And we just added the fur onto the monkey. So now if I come over the particles window, then I can change the number to 3000. I can change the hair length to whatever. There's one. It's quite a bit. What if I do 150? The spider web, yeah. 0.5 maybe. After you have that, then if you go here, go to particle edit. I'd almost think it'd be nice to have the object mode and the particle edit at the same time. That might be better than the rendering. Might be faster. So if I split this window, and I'll split it in this direction this time. And on this one, I'll choose object mode. Change this one too, didn't it? Oh, that didn't work out very good. I thought you could have those different. Obviously not. Is there anything else that would give us the same look? Oh well. Come over here. I'm going to particle edit. I'm going to cut. Hold down, and I'm going to cut around the face. Like I say, I'm not going to spend an entire week on this. So mine's not going to look as good as the whatever creature from the Monster Inc. that they're referring to. And then I go to object mode. Go back to particle edit mode. Choose comb. Comb the hair back. We'll choose cut again. See if I can get more off the face. Choose object mode. Either my eyes are just really bad, which are not great, or it shows us particles there that aren't really there. which is one of two things then. There's a setting where you can have hair come from the back of your head. And that could be where it's coming from. Now, let me think about how to stop that from doing that. Parents, no. Unborn, no. Died, no. Hair dynamics. Let's see what's there. Nothing. Let's see. Blender. Blender, how to stop hair from coming through a mesh. See, how do I stop hair particles going through the body and the head? Solution one, I tend to have long hair that goes swirling in the wind. I'll achieve that through hair dynamics. Hair going through the mesh body. I'm using Blender. Okay. Collision with the emitter is not supported in 2.77, but there's a workaround. So you want to collide the hair with the emitter, but there's no self-collision. Well, but collision with other objects works, right? Right. So you have to duplicate the entire emitter mesh and set it to a fake self-collider. That was another way for doing that. He's already done it. Oh well, we won't worry about it that much. If I go to the back and I were to comb it and so forth and style it, it wouldn't be coming through the front. Display. It's going to bother me though where that option is. That's it. None, I think. Got rid of a lot of hair, didn't it? Simple. No, that's not it. The idea behind it is, it's a lot of hair, isn't it? But you go over to the particle, and how many do you see? Looks like Suzanne, that's her name, is bald. You know, or going bald. There's not many hairs, right? That's why a particle system works. Particle system by itself is you define a particle, and hair can go out a certain length, can it? How about a light? Can it go out a certain length? Yeah. Can you have thickness in the light beams coming out. Yeah, if you think of those searchlights I have and so forth, you could have a bunch of them together, right? So it's the same principle as hair, and that's why they're both considered particles. Now, you have one particle coming out, but then it has children of its own. And those children is what gives it that thick effect without having to have 50,000 hairs on your head and you're modeling. So you model just the main parent, and it's affects the children. Somewhere in here is a capability for it not to collide with the mesh, and I don't remember I'll just have to not to play with that because I don't remember where that's at. Now the random is kind of interesting. The video really doesn't talk about that, but this random here, when you use with other options, it'll give you hair kind of a random look. Now this applies to your children. So you might find some are going out a certain length and some are shorter, type of deal. Now once I set random and I start changing the seed, then you can start seeing the varying effects on that. Now you can tell it how many children you want for display purposes and how many you want for render. Like this right here is our monkey, isn't it? But notice here it says display, and it says 10 children, which means for each particle stream that's coming out, it will have 10 children. When you go to render it, you have 100 children. So what's that going to do to your final render? Yeah, make it a lot hairier, won't it? So the fact that you may be looking at it, well, yeah, but look, you can see parts of it up here. Well, yeah, but when you render it, then it's going to be worse. The reason why they have display less is for performance. I'm guessing if I probably change it to 100, it's going to go super slow. Let's see if that's true. So that's what the hair would actually look at. That's surprising how good that was. That's what the hair would look like at 100. If you want to have more children, for a sure way to crash it. 1,000. It's not coming back. I've never set to 1,000. I was curious what it looked like. But for each strand of hair that comes out of that original, there's 1,000. Then there'll be 1,000 children off each strand. Can't even see it anymore. Okay, I'm gonna set that back to 10. And again, that's so it comes back fast. Remember how we had the render window open earlier? It was going really slow. That's why I closed it, because you get better performance without it. But if you want to see what it's going to look like, you need to have that open. I'm trying to think where you change the color at. I think that was over here in the... I think that's in the video. There it is. Fourth from the right. So I choose the this right here. I got my fur material. And what they change? Diffuse. Yeah, they did. Okay, so if I come here and change diffuse, no, I didn't have that right. Oh yeah, that would change that too. Try to remember how to change the hair, but not the rest of the mesh. I don't remember. In case you're wondering, well, how can you maybe have both? If I do a new, this is one trick I remember from before. You add Suzanne. Zoom in. Oops, did that wrong. You do Shift D for duplicate, and then press enter. Now at this point, we have two objects, the same size, same everything, and occupied in the same space, right? So then you can, manipulate. You can put a hair on one of them. You cut parts of it out so you can see through to the other mesh. So there's ways around that. So, any questions on hair? I think hair is kind of fun. By the way, why can't I delete that? Oh, I don't have it selected. That I had a bunch of them. We added another package in here called Houdini that if we have time we'll get to. The Houdini is really meant for those special effects like particles and so forth. Blender just doesn't have the umph. We'll see water animation, and Blender is so slow when it does water animation. Let me drop on a cube again. Come over here to the particles. I can do a new for particle system. And over here under the four little stars, the type emitter, you see we have hair. This is how you do it without going to the quick fur. So you can go directly to the particles and choose the hair and seed. Change that. That changes the effect a little bit. Do you see how some of the hairs are longer than others? So that gives us the randomness. You can also do the randomness down here. 1,000 hair length is 4. That's out pretty far, isn't it? And then at that point, once you've done that, you can come here and you can choose your particle edit again. So the quick just gives it to you real quick, but you can come over here and just set all the settings by default. Why do you think you'd have unborn, died, and so forth? What happens with an explosion? Some of the light sources will stop before the other ones, right? So they die. So that's what that's referring to. Hair, I don't think it has a whole lot of meaning. Okay. If I click new, you see there's an emitter here. We're going to be playing with that, but that's where instead of hair, you're maybe working with light or something like that. Okay, I'm going to do a file new. And the other video I have is morphing between two shapes. So I'm a little robotic person. And that's curious. I'm not the greatest at YouTube. My son is. Is there a way to have it come in as better quality?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Gear, bottom right.
Bottom right?
Yeah. And where should say auto 360 or 1080 or something.
Okay. Why would it set that back? Is it in my office? Oh no, I wasn't watching it on a laptop. I was watching it on my computer, and it was looking good. I could see everything real good. Okay. Now it should look better. We had a cone first and a UV sphere. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. I'm going to add a cone. And she does it so fast. Let me see if... Okay, so she didn't unselect it, did she? Okay, so a UV sphere. Okay. She brings it down a little bit. So she grabs a blue and brings it down somewhat. We're coming over to the modifiers, which is a little wrench tool. So over here, I'll make this bigger so I can reach the wrench tool. Click add modifier. Let's see what's shrink wrap, I think it was. Okay, so shrink wrap. We got our target shape here. If I click that, it drops down and I can choose the cone. I think that's what she said. Let's see. Okay, there she goes. I didn't see it actually happen. So if you go in tab, you see your sphere. I'm missing something. Okay, I'm right there. There it is. Clicking this on three little circles here with a triangle. What we're doing is we're taking one shape and you're going to cause it to morph to a different shape. That's the goal. Then you scale the mesh. So you do an S for scale, and you change it until it's the same shape as the other one. Let's probably close some again. So go to object mode. So do a tab to go to object mode. And we apply a shape is what she's saying. Okay. So you got the original cone selected. You move it over the side. She appeared to delete the cone. Okay. So I'm going to right click on that, choose delete. So we're over in here in the 3. Choose that. Oops. Choose the 3 there. And we got our shrink wrap here. And then we choose that. And see how it morphs. Of course, the goal here then is you create an animation. And remember, if we have the shape key set up here, we're currently at 0. I can do an eye while my mouse pointer is over this value bar. And then I go to 40. And I move my value further on. I do another eye. Go to 80. Move my value further. And do another eye. And then I click somewhere here and do an E. And now if I do an Alt A, lots of different things that are possible here that gives you animations without you working forever to achieve that. If you think about how long that take you to actually grab each vertex and move it and then record that position, it'd just be a nightmare. Is there any questions on morphing? I'm gonna do a file new. See if I can remember the steps. They dropped the cone on first, didn't they? Yeah.
And then drop the cone on, and then drop the UV sphere on top of it.
Okay. I probably won't get this right, but we'll have a cube here, and we'll drop on a monkey. I don't see my monkey, so I'm gonna make my monkey a little bit bigger. Do S for scale. There. And then I think she added a shrink wrap modifier. Shrink wrap right there. Said the target was a cube, so this doesn't go from the monkey to the cube. Actually wanted to go the other way, but that's fine. Choose that there. I think she resized it, S for scale, until it encompassed all of the shape, like that. His idea is that even though they're different shapes, you can have it go out like that. Then she went back to object mode. No, I'm in object mode. That was edit mode.
I think she deleted the monkey.
Okay. So if I do it.
She deleted the cone. No, you would delete the square, then you would delete.
Apply a shape first, don't I? So which one do you think?
I said I think you delete the square. Because if she changed the sphere into a cone,
Oh, we delete the cube, yeah, because it doesn't have any shape keys on it. Okay, so delete that. So now I'm left my monkey, pretty big. I choose shrink wrap. Oh, that's pretty cool. So you can take your Suzanne and morph it into a cube. I really want to morph the other way. That's why you have to know the direction. But I couldn't remember what she did first in terms of which one to go with. Um, Now I could again create an animation. Come over here. I'm right there. Let's see, do an I. Was it I? And I come to 40. Change my value a little bit over more. Do another I on the value bar. Go to 80. Change my value all the way. Do an I. And then go to 100. Do an E. Now do an Alt A. And that's our animation. I'm not. I can follow a tutorial. I can sort of remember some of the steps. I always have to review my refresh my own memory. What I lack is the creativity. It's somebody who has that creativity then to say, "Oh yeah, I could take that and I could do this." And I'm more of a programmer type, and so you won't see much beyond just the very basics on these. She actually, or he, she, whoever it is that does this, I think they actually morph. Which, see how that's much better than what I did. I didn't even try to show you that though, since she did like super fast speed through those one steps. I think she's just basically selecting, but anyway. Um, Now what I want you to do is in the remaining time, two projects. One of them is to use shape keys and create some kind of animation. You can do morphing like we just looked at today, or you could do the shape keys we looked at last time before. I forgot to assign a project on the shape keys. And then the other one is to create a sphere, basically a head, and put hair on it, and then put eyeballs in it and animate the eyeballs moving. Remember how we saw that? Let me start off. Delete that. I'll throw a sphere on there. Sphere. Let's try it again. UV sphere. This is our head, isn't it? I go into edit, and maybe I want to subdivide that a little bit. So I'll do an S. Try again. W for subdivide. W for subdivide. Now W again. And at this point, I want to do an A to unselect that. I can do a select. There's like a circle select somewhere. C. Okay. You do a C for circle select. You can use your mouse wheel, make it bigger. And there I just cut out a place for the eyeballs. And you could clean it up a little bit. Cut out a place there for the eyeballs. I got those selected now, don't I? If I right click, it takes off border select. If I do X and then delete the vertices, creates places for my eyeballs. So I go back out to object mode. I can add a sphere in here. So choose UV sphere. Obviously make it a lot smaller, so I do an S for scale. Move the eyeball in the position. I think it's maybe a. I don't want to see into the brain. And then I just create an eyeball, right? You can play with that a little bit to get it. You know, you can, if you select this, you can come in here and you can move these out a little bit. Don't spend a huge amount of time on it. Because just by choosing this and moving it, what? A little bit more out, that'll cover a lot of it. And then for your animation, you're over here, you're animating this sphere right here. So you do an eye on it, location, rotation, scale, and then I click further on here, and then I can do an RZ about the Z-axis, RZ, rotate it, do an I, don't do an E like I just did. Oops, not that one, this one, 200, do an I, location, rotation, scale, and now do an E. And now if you do Alt A, maybe I didn't record it correctly. Let's try it again. Okay, got that right there. And I for location, rotation, scale. Come here and do an RZ. Then do another I. Location, rotation, scale. Now let's do an Alt A. There it goes. See how the sphere moved? So I'm not wanting you to do anything fancy. Just have the eyeball move.
And what was the first one again? To use
Shape keys in some manner. You could do the morphing that we just did here, so forth. And also drop hair on this just to practice the hair too. As you can see, I'm not a master modeler, am I? And I'm not expecting you to be a master modeler, so I'm not expecting you to create a Shrek, you know. This is all leading up to where we're going to be putting bones into a body, and so one of the things you can animate is the eye movement, and you can do it this way, or you could use even shape keys. Now we'll still need another piece where we show you how to paint onto a, because we haven't looked at that yet, have we? Vertex paint?
No.
Yeah. So we'll look at that, and we'll look at how to apply an image to a mesh, so you can put an eyeball image on a mesh. We have the rest of the time for that.
Whenever I press B, I don't even